I am about this far into Nona the Ninth. Oh, you could see the coffee stain on it. Oops. And I just found out why hot sauce is called hot sauce, and honestly, I think it's iconic. So good for her. I'm actually enjoying this book a lot more than I enjoyed Gideon the Ninth or Harold the Ninth, and I'm probably gonna binge read it and finish it today, which will be nice because then I can move on to another book, and it gives me an excuse to go out and buy books because I need more books to read. I'm hoping to find some romance books. Somebody did suggest a nonfiction book in my comments section, so I will be looking into that because it seemed very interesting. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I will put it here. I haven't been filming as much this week because, as alluded to in my other videos, I do suffer from mental illness. And I have been in a depressive episode, so I haven't really been writing or anything like that. I do think I'm going to do vlogs every 2 weeks now just to accommodate for that. And I'm going to incorporate things that aren't writing in it as well. Like I do bake, I also cook and things like that. I knit and I crochet. So I might just incorporate things like that, but I will have the main focus be writing. But again, you do write what you know, and so it's might be nice to show you what I know. My partner is gone for the next 3 weeks, and my hair is in my face. So I will be having a lot more alone time, which means a lot more writing time. I do have a lot of school assignments I need to do, though, so I might film me working on those too. But yeah, I'm taking it easy right now. I'm baking some sourdough. I have something in the slow cooker, and I'm going to try to finish reading Nona the Ninth. I'm on page 387, and I think there's only like 470 something pages, so less than 100 pages. But again, the text is quite small, but I am excited. I'm really enjoying this book. I do miss Mercy Morn, though. Rest in peace. I loved her so much. Even though she is kind of in the John interlude, she's really not. I miss her. I love an evil bitch, and she was just so evil, and I loved her. Anyways, I'm going to get back to reading, and hopefully I will get back to writing too. Now, I am not a professional chef in any means, and I am so Italian in the sense that I have a Nona, and that is about it, and so I don't really consider myself Italian. But I am off my meds today, and being off my meds, I need something to do because I can't focus on other stuff like writing. And I know this is a writing YouTube channel, and it's about me reading and writing, but now there's just going to be a segment in which I am making ricotta. I am making ricotta. There's like a whole little carton of heavy cream, and then I diluted it with some 1% milk because I wanted more ricotta. And we're going to make some ricotta because I am going to make some spinach ricotta ravioli from scratch. The raviolis from scratch, the ricotta's from scratch, everything's from scratch. And as I make the ricotta, I'm going to talk about my thoughts about Nona the Ninth because I finished that book yesterday. Genuinely, it was my favorite out of all the Locktoon books. I feel like if I were to go back and reread like Gideon the Ninth and Harold the Ninth to now, I would like them. Like, I feel like it would be a very pleasurable experience and it wouldn't take me forever to get into like they did the first couple times. But Nona the Ninth was just so easy to get into, and I loved all the characters, even though I am so confused at I feel like you read the Locktoon series to be confused, or I'm just stupid, either or. But I really enjoyed the book. It was a 5 stars, where the other 2 have been 4 stars for me. I love Nona, and I'm so sad what happens at the end with Nona. I'm even more sad about what happens to Camilla and Palamedes. Oh, then Kira has to do with all that. Fucking rip. And then hot sauce. Nona gets back in the gang at the end, which is great. But makes me really sad. Makes me really sad. Anyways, for the ricotta, we are currently heating up the milk heavy cream and milk. You don't want it to boil because then it won't, like, it will curdle in like a bad sense. You want it to curdle in a nice sense. But I shouldn't touch a pot with my hands. You can tell I'm a cook. Is it warm? Okay, it's a little warm. So that's pretty good. So I'm gonna add my salt now. Okay, yeah, it's starting to heat up. I am eyeballing. I'm not a person who measures with teaspoons or tablespoons, especially with spices. I measure with my heart. And that's probably enough salt. And we're gonna let that dissolve. And then what we're going to add is the lemon juice. And by adding the lemon juice, it creates curdles. Don't ask me the science behind it. I don't know. Something about the acidity and the whatever basis neutralizing the fats all clumped together is my best guess. I'm not a food scientist. And when I took biology courses in my undergraduate, I mostly focused on genetics, which is what you can see in The Nature of the Beast, because I love talking about genetics. I think I'm going to give that a few more seconds. It doesn't sound like there's any grating at the bottom, but I want it to be like incorporated into the milk. So when I add the lemon juice, it's not just left in the whey, which would not be good. And not whey as in like whey as in WHEY, which is, you know, whey protein or be strong. I think I'm not going to keep the whey because I have no idea what to do with it. I'm not really a big whey person unless I have like my protein powder in the corner, which you can kind of half see behind the knives. But yeah. But I'm making the ricotta now because I have my cheesecloth and my strainer, and I'm going to strain it for a little bit. And if it gets too dry, I'll just reincorporate some of the whey just by adding it. I am going to whip it up with some spinach that I'm going to, cook, not boil, fry, and then with some garlic and some lemon juice and just blend that all up into like a cream that I'm going to put into some raviolis. I need to make the pasta for the raviolis, but I'm not going to do that for another little while. I also have some chocolate espresso sourdough that is proofing and honestly is probably ready to bake, so I should probably get that going. But I am just in a cooking mood right now, especially because I did not take my ADHD meds today, which means that I am hungry. The meds I take usually suppress my appetite, so I don't really eat until like the end of the day, and then I'm starving. But no, like, because I didn't take my meds today, I actually have normal hunger cycles, and I'm kind of like, oh shit, like I don't have to remind myself to eat, I'm just doing it. Okay, I think like cream has been heated up enough. I will just add, you want it like, I don't know if you can see the little bit of steam. Oh, you can. So there's a little bit of steam coming off. You want that. You don't want it to be boiled. You just want it to be heated up. And then I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to use a soup spoon. So you add your acid. You can use any type of vinegar or like acidic thing. I would recommend lemon juice because it tastes the best, but if you're wanting something more neutral, white vinegar would work. So I'm just going to let this sit for a couple of minutes, and by a couple I mean like 10, while it curdles and stuff. It does look like it's starting to do that already, but I kept stirring it, so I kept interrupting the process. I do have my oven on because I shall be making the sourdough, but I need to heat up my Dutch oven, so that will be done in like half an hour. I think now I am going to start making my pasta for the ravioli because that has to sit and rest for a little bit as well. So let's start on that. So we're doing a fancy smancy top-down angle for making the pasta. And pasta is really simple to make as well. It is just literally eggs and flour, though I do need to look up the ratio for that. But there are my eggs. I will grab my flour. I'm just using basic all-purpose flour, which I know is sacrilege because it's not actually proper Italian whatnot, but it is yummy and it's going to be great for the ravioli. So I hope it's delicious, and if it's not, that's going to be tragic. And I am looking up. Oh, so here's my ricotta, and now I gotta do the spinach and garlic and then blend it all up, make it whipped, and then all that fun stuff. Woo! The ricotta is done and in a bowl, and now I just need to cook my spinach. So we have the filling all done. It has some spinach, some garlic, some Parmesan cheese, and then it was a little bland, so I added a little bit of salt. I should probably add some pepper. But that's going to be the filling for the ravioli, so now I need to roll it out and slice it. Woo! The sourdough is now complete. It smells very chocolatey. I'm very excited to eat it. I didn't score enough because it started cracking down there. There she is. Here is the ravioli. They look ugly, but I'm sure they're tasty. Thank you for joining me on my journey of ravioli. Woo! Oh, goodness gracious. You are shaking. Oh, goodness gravy. Oh, I'm just gonna have to wait. So I have been in a massive writing slump, and when I get into those, I find that jamming out to music and writing by hand tends to help. I also find not writing my main project tends to help. So I am working on Amongst Thieves. I don't really think I've talked about Amongst Thieves or like what the plot is about, but it is a romance story between it's a throuple. Woo! I'm a little goofy tonight. It is a romance story between a throuple, and it deals with sort of themes of grief and moving on and stuff like that, which I know isn't very sexy, but it is very fun. So I have the characters plotted out, and in the characters plotting out, I do have a few seeds. I don't know how the whole book is going to go. I have a general idea, but I'm not too sure. But what I'm going to be doing is writing out one of these scenes, but instead of doing it on my computer, I'm going to write it out. I have a designated Amongst Thieves write out notebook. It's very cute. I got it from a little notebook store years and years and years ago. I have a notebook collection. Maybe I'll go through my notebook collection one day. But I collect notebooks, and these are very pretty. So this is my Amongst Thieves notebook. I'm going to be jamming out to music, and by music, I mean like stuff I used to listen to back in high school because I just feel nostalgic right now. And I'm going to be writing, also drinking a little bit. So is this writing going to be coherent? I don't know. I'll read you some after I'm done. We'll see how that goes. I did not end up writing a lot. I wrote this whole page, and then a little bit on this one, and then I decided my hand hurts from writing because I haven't been writing by hand a lot recently, and my muscles are also a bit tense. So I'm stopping. I just haven't been in the writing mood, which I know is not great, but I don't do it professionally, so I don't have a job. But here's some writing from it that I think is okay, but also it's a first draft. And also, I wrote it by hand 2 seconds ago, and I need to edit it, so be nice to me. I just couldn't be in the hospital. I couldn't stand holding the hand of somebody only kept alive by machines, and I couldn't be there to see if he'd even get off of them. Not again. Not after the silence of the first time. Tears were streaming down his cheeks now, dribbling onto my purple comforter. He wiped his cheek, forcing a smile onto his face. I'm a coward that way. Used cheek too many times too close together, but it has bones. It has bones that I can make into something. Add some muscles, maybe some ligaments, skin eventually. So I just finished my weekly writing call with Jackie, and that is my word count. It's for Amongst Thieves, and it was the one that I was actually writing the night before. I did write more of it by hand this morning, and then I typed it all up. And honestly, I think I might read this out loud for the channel. So if you're interested, let me know. I might actually have already read it by the time this comes up. But it's just a nice little cute scene. Obviously, you don't have the backgrounds of the characters, but hopefully you like them. Also, it's like a first draft, so it might not even be in the final draft. But it'll be something fun to read, and it's cute, and I like it, so whatever. So I actually started reading Not Even Bones by Rebecca Schaefer a couple of months ago because my sister had lent it to me because it reminded her of my own story, The Nature of the Beast. And I do see why, just based on, I think I'm about 40 pages in. Like it is young adult. It does have that like horror, unnatural aspect to it and a little bit of mystery. But I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would, to be honest. And I think it's just the writing style. I mean, so far, nothing like major has happened in the book. There are like, I know like from the back, like it hasn't even finished where the synopses are. So the main plot hasn't kicked off yet. But it's just, oh, sorry, my chair creaked. The thing that I think, anyways, so the problem that I'm having with it is that it's a little too YA. There's nothing wrong with young adult novels or books being written for young adults. The problem is I am not a young adult. I mean, on the grand scale of things, I am pretty young. I'm almost 30, but I'm not like young adult, literary young adult. And it's just like, it's just a little too kind of like nose on simplistic writing. Like, this is a small example, but she's in Peru right now, and she's talking about the food, and she goes and she orders all the food, and it says like the actual names of the food in, I think it's Spanish. It's what they say they speak in Peru. I don't know if it's actually right. They might speak Portuguese, but I don't know because I'm bad at geography. I should probably look that up. Anyways, it says the Spanish names of the food in it, and then in brackets it explains what it is. And I'm like, you shouldn't have explained that. You should have just sort of left it. So if a curious reader is like, oh, she says this is good, I'll look it up. Or like people who know what the food is will be like, haha, like my food is here. But that's just like a very like nose on young adult thing to do, to like say something, then immediately explain what it is and not leave that little like curiosity for the reader to like look into. And maybe that's just my personal opinion. Maybe I don't know, it just feels very like you think your readers are a little stupid, that they can't figure things out for themselves or they can't look it up or anything like that. And again, it is a young adult book, so maybe that's why it's written like this. But the writing is also like a little simplistic. I don't know, like there was this one sentence where it's like, Nita's mother shrugged nonchalant. I'm like, of course it's nonchalant. She shrugged. Like, do you shrug chalantly? I just like, it just felt like redundant. And I'm like, okay, like I get it. I feel like I'm being mean to this book. I'm literally like, what page am I on? 44. I'm on page 44. And I was like, oh, nothing's happening in this book. And then I looked at my own draft and I like compiled it into like a book like on Scrivener. And I was like, oh, okay, like nothing happens on page 44. At least I think more interesting things happen in my book on page 44, but of course I'm biased because it's my book. But I am going to finish reading the book I'm already 44 pages in, and again, I don't have a book that I'm reading, so I have to go to Indigo and purchase some books, which I'm excited about. So maybe we'll do a little vlog trip to Indigo where I walk around and look for books. The world building is also kind of like, bleh, like hand-fisted to you. It's like, oh, she watches something on the news talking about killing unnaturals, and I'm like, of course she watches something on the news. Of course there's something on the news. It's just, it feels very cliche. Maybe when was this book published? 2018. Okay. Maybe less cliche back then. I don't know. I don't think the gore is too bad for a young adult book, but my sister recommended it to me, and my sister loves reading books, and she usually has good taste. So I'm sorry if it's not good taste. I want to read, but I also don't want to read because it's kind of like, ugh. Like this book is like going very slowly to me, especially because I ate up Nona the Ninth. I read like 200 pages in one sitting for that book. I will continue reading this. Hopefully by the time this vlog is up, I will be done, so you'll get my whole unfiltered thoughts. But it's definitely not as bad as Marked by Moonlight. It's not as horrendous as that romance book. It actually kind of respects women. I'm gonna get back to reading. Hey, it's the book's title. A little early, only on page 82. Normally you wait for a drop like that, but there we go. Book's title. Also, earlier in this chapter, or not this chapter, but like last chapter, this woman's hair was like described as severely tied back, or it was described in a way that it like made it seem like it was, let me find it. No, Gray streaked her severely tied back brown hair. Was the gray severely streaked in her tied back brown hair? But the way it reads, it sounds like severely tied back. How can your hair be severely tied back? It's either tied back or it's not. I didn't know there were varying degrees of tied back. Maybe I'm just being nitpicky, but that threw me for a loop. I'm currently on page 197, and it has this delectable line of, Nita let out the breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. I know it's cliche to even comment on when authors use that line in their books, but like the first thing you learn in writing school is to not call eyes orbs and to not use that sentence, because it in itself is a cliche from like fan fiction. And this book was written in 2018, so maybe it wasn't a cliche back then, but I do remember reading fan fiction back in 2018 and being tired of that kind of language as well. And I'm being a little mean, this is a debut novel, but it just sort of reads very young. There's mature topic matter like dissecting people and stuff like that, but like the text itself reads very young. At one point, one of the characters dies, and the main character's like, I thought it would be like in the movies where they get their happy ending. Turns out it wasn't like the movies. And it's like, I don't really think you need to explicitly say that. It's kind of implied in the text. I really don't like when young adult books tend to dumb down the language because they think teenagers don't understand nuance. And sure, some don't. But it's just, the world building is also a little clunky. Again, I am not a published author. I am just an aspiring writer. So all these critiques possibly are things I could be doing. And the book is not atrocious. I'm finally into it. Like, it took me a while to pick it up and actually get into the story. If I wasn't borrowing this book from my sister and holding it hostage for the last like year and a half because I borrowed it from her, I would not have continued reading this book. I would have put it down before page 50 and either donated it to a library or something like that. But the only reason why I'm reading it is because I borrowed it from my sister. And because it reminds me a little bit of my novel, it is kind of, it has the STEM aspects in a sense, and it also has like the teenager main character. Teenager main character. There is a 20-year-old man in the story, and I'm a little scared. I'm a little scaredy that they're going to make him a love interest, because I think the main character is 16. I'm not too sure. I don't even remember. But I know she's not old enough to be dating a 20-year-old, though. It's very clear that he will be escaping with her, even though she keeps being like, he's a monster. I'm going to run away and leave him alone. She keeps coming back to him, and the book makes a very obvious attempt to like try to humanize him. And you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. I get it. Also, I'm sorry if you can hear jingling in the background. My cat has decided that now is time to wake up from her nap. Hey, what do you have to say for yourself? You're so cute. So I basically DNF'd Not Even Bones. And by basically DNF'd, I mean I skipped chapters and skimmed the second half of the book because it was meandering. It was really boring. There was absolutely no depth to it at all. I mentioned this in the last clip, I think, about how juvenile the writing felt and how like spelled out everything was. The morals of the story are just told to you. There is no, I can deduce the themes. It's like, here are the themes explicitly in my story. I copied and pasted them from a website talking about themes in my book. I'm going to be mean for a second. So if you don't like me being mean, mute me. I don't know. Stop watching. But at least Marked by Moonlight had things going on that weren't meandering and boring. Like, yes, it wasn't fun to read Marked by Moonlight, and yes, it felt stupid at some points, but at least it was interesting in a sense. This was not. It was like, okay, they go to the building. Oh no, they can't do something at the building. They go to a different building. They go back to the first building. Oh no, they can't do something at the building. They go to a different building. They go back to the first building. And I described it in my Goodreads review. I described it in my Goodreads review like a video game quest that keeps just going and going and going. And you're just sitting there wondering when it's going to stop. Things just keep getting added on. And the quest is something as simple as they need money so they can get off the island in which they're being held captive or whatever. It should have been at least 80 pages shorter, and it's a 360-page book. The writing needed to be sharpened up. It needed a couple of developmental edits, which I know, again, I'm unpublished, but I can have opinions about books. And I just really think that they should have waited to publish this. They should have sharpened up the middle. The reason why I started skimming was because the middle was just going and going and going. At one point, they were at a house. They needed to get back to the first building, the same building. And there was a whole little middle chapter in which she went from the house to the building, and I skipped it. I read the last page of that chapter, went, okay, skipped it, didn't miss anything. There was no, oh no, something happened that I don't understand. I have to read that chapter. I didn't miss anything. It could have been a scene break. I really think this is a problem with my writing as well. I haven't incorporated scene breaks into the nature of the beast, and I really think I should. But beginner writers tend to not do scene breaks. They tend to think they need to explain every single thing. They get in the car, then they drive from the car, and then they get there. Whereas you can just put a scene break and then they're at the grocery store. So again, I need to put scene breaks into the nature of the beast. They don't exist in the nature of the beast. It's something I need to work on, and it's really something that this author could have worked on as well. It helps to cut out all the fat of the story where, the lulls. So I basically DNF'd Not Even Bones. It's just, they go from one place to another and nothing important happens. So why would you waste pages or paragraphs describing it if there's nothing important happening in that paragraph or those pages? I think because AI took the M dash away from us, we need to start romanticizing the scene break. I'll make a shirt, romanticize the scene break. I'm not going to make a shirt, but That's my opinion. I am filming this the Friday before this video needs to go up, and I really doubt that I'm going to film anything else for today or even tomorrow morning. So if you liked this video and you enjoyed me complaining about this book, give me a like, hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a lovely day. Bye.